We are just weeks away from finding out if that gentleman, Ruben Gallego, or Kari Lake will be the next senator from Arizona. And there's a good amount of debate. There's a good amount of polling. We don't have any post-debate polls. It seems unlikely that the debate would radically change the situation there. But the good news is that it seems unlikely that much could fundamentally change the situation there, because things are working out pretty well. So let's talk about a poll. This was conducted by RMG Research for the Napolitan Institute in early October. Ruben Gallego not only led Lake by 10 points, but also captured 13% of Republicans and 27% of those who consider themselves lean Republicans. That is very significant. You don't see that happening in a lot of races. The results were similar to an AARP poll where he led by 7 points and with 11% of Republicans and 55% of independents. Okay, so among Trump first Republicans, so that's people that are primarily loyal to Trump rather than to the Republican Party when you ask them to make that distinction, Lake drew about 90%, which is interesting because she has done everything she can for years to ingratiate herself to the MAGA world. And 1 out of 10 of them are like, she's too tryhard. I don't like her. That's a bridge too far. But anyway, let's take a look not just at a single poll, but how the polling overall looks. And if you look at this sort of tracker, there were instances in which things were somewhat close. And look, overall, things go up, things go down. You can't explain that. But that's a pretty big gap right now. I would say the average looks like it's at about 50% to about 43. And 7 points does not mean that this thing is done. Pack it in, Ruben Gallego. You can take a tour of Scotland and England or whatever if you want. You don't need a campaign or anything. But with just a few weeks left to go, probably no debates left to go, you could be in a worse position. And this is important because we're in a situation right now where the battle for control of the Senate is really going to come down to the result of every race. For the Democrats, at least, there are no races that they can just afford to lose and have any hope whatsoever of maintaining control of the Senate. This one in particular, they've expected to win. They 100% have to. So he needs to stick the landing. We need to make sure that we don't find out that, I don't know, with a week to go, he's actually secretly George Santos or something with a wig on. I don't know. But it is really important because as we continually try to remind everyone, we talk primarily about the presidential race. Most people's eyes are primarily on the presidential race, but what that president is capable of doing when they get in office, it is really going to depend on the composition of the Senate. And while it is difficult to imagine a world in which Donald Trump wins the presidency, but the Democrats maintain control of the Senate, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely. It is entirely possible that Harris could win the presidency and then find out, oh, no, I don't actually have Congress. I lost the Senate. They could maybe have control of the House. It's likely that both of those would go against her. And then what do you have? I mean, you have 4 years of desperate battles to get any judges confirmed, effectively no legislation. Like you're gonna have almost nothing. And in fact, even in the few rare opportunities where legislation might be passed, usually it'll have to be tied to like spending bills or something. Then the Republicans are gonna have quite a bit of influence over that. Or what we're gonna do is for 4 years, you and I are gonna pop every 3 months between like funding deadlines where the government might shut down. And then we all have to play chicken over who's gonna get the blame for a government shutdown. I have not enjoyed the last few years of that. I don't want it anymore, okay? But anyway, good job by Gallego there. There's some other races that aren't looking as positive as I was hoping they would. Ted Cruz and Rick Scott are still looking relatively safe at this point, but we will be tracking those as we enter into the home stretch of this thing with just a couple of weeks to go. And let me end with one last stat. So she's down by those like 7 points or so. That's great, and I enjoy that Schadenfreude. But Trump is up by 0.9% in Arizona. You're not supposed to be less popular than Donald Trump. That's really weird, Kari Lake. Like that's weird enough that once you lose this, because it looks like you're gonna lose this, before you immediately start looking to the next race you can run in and lose, just pause for a moment and ask yourself why even the MAGA people don't want you in office. Like maybe you've thought about why most people don't want you in office, but even the most extreme ones don't. You're spending so much time in Mar-a-Lago and it really doesn't seem like it's paying off. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.